Nice to see you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, good evening, everyone. Tonight, we're fortunate to have the state delegation with us to present to us not a budget, but an outline of the type of money that has come into Lowell to make Lowell a better place. But before we begin, I'd like to have the clerk call the roll.
Chairman Samaras?
Here.
Counsel Leary?
Here.
Counsel Milonazo?
Here.
3 present.
Again, I want to thank the delegation for being here. Senator Eileen Donahue, Representative Thomas Golden, Representative David Nangle, and Representative Ratty Mom. I mean, you have a very busy schedule, and we do truly want to thank you for being here. Also want to acknowledge Councilor Rita Mercier, Councilor John Leahy, and City Manager Kevin Murphy. Thank you. Tonight, what we're going to have is a presentation by our delegation about the type of monies and what they have to do to bring that type of money into the city. Often we talk about public-private partnerships and how important public and private partnerships are. But this is a local and state partnership, and it's very, very important. We have to think about two political bodies that come together for one common cause, and that's to make Lowell a better place. And tonight, I believe our constituents will be very pleased to have this report, and this report will allow our constituents to understand the type of projects that are going on in Lowell and how they're funded. And I believe, again, we want to thank you as a delegation, because there are many other places you should be or could be, but you've taken the time to come before us to discuss what some of the issues that you've had to raise, some of the things that you've had to do to ensure that Lowell gets its fair share. And you most certainly have proven that. So I'd like to start off with Senator Donahue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the subcommittee. It's a pleasure to be here coming in tonight, Tuesday night. It brought back memories for a few years. Good ones, very good ones, but it's an honor to be here, and we thank you for the invitation to make a presentation. And some weeks back, Mr. Chairman, you had approached us and asked us to give a report as to, what has the city received from the state as it pertains directly or indirectly on economic development. And so in response to that, it gave us an opportunity to do the research and pull together, over the past years, what has happened. So we have a 5-year look. I will say that that's the standard time that the economic development studies that we deal with in the State House give a 5-year window, and so we thought that was appropriate to present here. Let me, and I don't know if any of the my colleagues in the House want to make a statement at this point.
Thank you very much, Senator. I think we're going to yield all the time to you right now.
Well, okay. Thank you. So, let me get started, and I will beg your indulgence, because doing PowerPoint is not my strong point, but we'll give it a good try anyway. Just by way of background and overview to members of the committee, the numbers that you're going to see, and you'll see on the front of the presentation, that over these years, the 5 years that we're talking about, 2011 to 2016, it's over $470 million that have been invested, state money here in the city of Lowell, that pertain either directly or indirectly to economic development. Now, I want to say and I'll give you a quick overview of where that money falls, but this does not include local aid figure, which I'll give you those figures toward the end. It doesn't include Chapter 70 monies. As we all know, both of those figures are significant. And though we'll talk about the courthouse, it does not include the $200 million price tag on the courthouse. So these are monies that have been spent to date and not looking future. There are certainly future monies that we'll be working together in partnership. But just quickly, let me just give you the quick overview, and that is in grant money, there was $135.5 million in grants, and this had to do with infrastructure investments, $50 million, capital funding, $36.5 million, Mass Historic Tax Credits, $19.3 million, Mass Life Sciences Center, $19 million, Mass Tech Collaborative, $4 million, Parks, Energy, Environment, $3.2 million, Mass Development, $1.6 million, Mass Cultural Council, $1.1 million, Workforce Skills Grant, $1.1 million, and earmarks of approximately $1 million. There was also $363.3 million in financing. Mass Development, $237.8 million, Mass Housing, $98.5 million. And that brought the total to $472 million. So if we go through, the first screen has to do with infrastructure and public space. And you will see the Lowell Judicial Center. Now, let me just give an overview of what the status is as far as the money spent to date. To date, there's been $12 million already invested in the planning, the design, the site acquisitions, and the utilities. As has been mentioned, the total projected cost would be in the vicinity of $200 million, which would be funded incrementally by the state over the construction period. The new Judicial Center on the edge of the Hamilton Canal District would be a state-of-the-arts facility for the Superior Court, the District Court, the Probate and Family Court, the Juvenile and Housing Courts of Middlesex County, along with space for the Registry of Deeds, the District Attorney's offices, and a center for self-represented litigants. It will be a 7-floor building. It will have, I believe, 17 courtrooms, 41 holding cells, and it was designed with sustainability in mind and will integrate solar panels, wind turbines, and biomass fuel systems. This is right up Representative Golden's alley. It's music to his ears. The Judicial Center will anchor the Hamilton Canal District, spurring additional development, we believe, as lawyers seek nearby office space, citizens look for coffee or lunch after appointments at the courthouse. And according to Governor Baker, he has mentioned on a number of occasions that he supports this project. So this is obviously a very major project, but to date, we've already expended in the state $12 million to get the site ready. The next screen under infrastructure and public space is the Hamilton Canal District. So most recently, there was an award of $4.7 million. This was a MassWorks grant that complements the $17.9 million that was previously invested in the Hamilton Canal by the state. Now, the MassWorks grant will fund construction that will include extending Broadway Street and a new utility infrastructure in the northern half of the district, bounded by the Merrimack and the Pawtucket canals. That grant will spearhead the development of parcels where the city has already received bids from Watermark, Genesis Healthcare, wind companies, and Anchor Line Properties. Once completed, the Hamilton Canal will boast 1.9 million square feet of mixed-use, transit-oriented development, including 725 units of housing, 555,000 square feet of retail space, and up to 425,000 square feet of office space in the Hamilton Canal. And if anybody has questions, just stop us. The next slide in that details an investment, and that's infrastructure and transportation. And let me just mention here that transportation and infrastructure are key to economic development in many regards. Unless we have that infrastructure and transportation available, economic development doesn't happen. That's not just in Lowell, that's anywhere. And so it's something that the state, it's a necessary component that the state is providing to the city so the city can jumpstart the economic development. The Lord Overpass, this was the result of a $15 million grant from MassDOT. This is going to better connect the Hamilton Canal District, the downtown, the Highlands, and the Gallagher Terminal. So the city has received to date roughly $50 million for transportation projects and maintenance since 2011. In the next few slides, we'll see some of the major projects. We'll start with Lord Overpass. So the development of Hamilton Canal is very exciting for Lowell, and the area still faces access issues that leave it isolated from other neighborhoods. And right now, and I know the city did a great job, Manager Murphy, who was here making a presentation, oh, and Councilor Belanger, hold on, let me just give you on the first pass or pass of the plan, and it may be a work in progress, but nonetheless, it's currently configured that as the Lord Overpass now stands, it creates a chasm between the Gallagher Terminal, the Acre, the Lower Highlands, and making the area difficult to navigate on foot and car. So removing the overpass will increase the ease with pedestrians and drivers and access to the Judicial Center as well. Again, not only bringing visitors to the district, but ensuring benefits of economic development in the district spill over, not just for the Hamilton Canal, but will spill over to the Acre and to the Lower Highlands, another key component of a very good design. The next slide, still staying with infrastructure and transportation, has to do with Route 38. $3 million was awarded by MassDOT. This is improvements that will ease congestion along Route 38, one of the most dangerous intersections in the state. Again, I hate to keep deferring to my colleague here, but know full well that intersection. The Northern Middlesex Council of Governments has identified a number of intersections along Route 38 as high crash locations. That won't be a surprise, I know, to any of you. But the good news is that the MassDOT is funding $3 million in improvements, and there are several other intersections along 38. I know Representative Nangle has
Exactly.
knowledge of that.
On that, Senator, this is just all recent news, the one over Nesmith Street, which they're gonna work on, I should say, from Stackpole Street at that intersection, the one at East Merrimack Street in 38, Andover in 38, Shed Park in 38, and Phoenix Ave in 38. That's $2.8 million. That probably didn't get in here because it was just basically announced.
It was just announced. So that would be in addition to this $3 million that's already been awarded. This is over, as you can see from the picture, but Representative, God's country, according to Representative Golden, we hear that. But the other nearly $3 million is brand new, hot off the press. So that figure is actually double.
And that, Jimmy, I could see it, just so you know, right there between East Merrimack Street and Andover Street, where part of it goes into 2 lanes, and you're wondering, it's gonna be 2 lanes in each direction. So it's gonna be wide in that little pathway in through there. So that's gonna be very helpful.
Just a quick question. You also said further down by Shed Park, further, what?
I think it's just some of the traffic lights, because I asked that question yesterday. I was up there with Diane, Lisa DeMayo, and Kevin Coughlin, getting an eye view of the area there, and I asked that question. I believe it's just traffic controls, basically down there. The main construction part will be between Andover Street and Stackpole Street, or East Merrimack Street.
You're going to make a lot of people happy. I'd like to announce that Councilor Belanger has joined us and Councilor Elliott has joined us also. Thank you.
Where's Councilor? Oh, okay. Okay, so, and these projects, both the one that's underway, the one that will be undertaken, are not only going to make it easier for residents and people to get around the city, but let's face it, it is an economic development assist to have better traffic patterns and easier and safer traffic patterns. And it benefits the entire city, not just those neighborhoods. The next, still staying with infrastructure and transportation, is the Tanner Street realignment. So this is a result of a $250,000 earmark in the last budget year in 2016, and it's part of a broader urban renewal plan for Air City with 334,000 square feet of new development envisioned. Sometimes a small change to traffic pattern has a transformational effect on an urban area, and that's the case with the Tanner Street development, which will improve the flow of traffic and make it an area more attractive to developers. And by moving the intersection of Tanner and Plain Street, the city will create 24,000 square feet of retail space and 10,000 square feet of industrial space. That's a huge development and benefit for the city. It's also part of a larger plan for the area that was approved by the city council, and that calls for 334,000 square feet of development that would generate almost $1.4 million in new taxes. So the Tanner Street, and again, as you know, the earmarks are hard fought. I know Representative Nangle, Golden, Mom fought for this in the budget last season, and we also fought on the Senate side. So that will be money well spent. And again, credit to the city for coming up with a great plan for what has tremendous potential. The next is, of course, the Richard P. Howe Senior Bridge. The total investment on this bridge was $32.5 million, with about 20% from MassDOT. It extends University Ave over the Merrimack and connects Pawtucketville to the Acre. You know, our colleague, former colleague, the late Councilor Richard Howe, a giant in Lowell civic life, and as a councilor for 40 years and a mayor for many, many terms. This was really a great honor, and it's certainly well-deserved to name this bridge for former mayor and Councilor Howe. Again, critical link between Pawtucketville and the Acre, and it connects UMass Lowell's growing North Campus with the East Campus. In 2012, and I know my colleagues know this well, securing parcels of land with the bridge was a challenge to get those through the legislative process, but it was accomplished. So, you know, getting the bridge built, getting the money, but then there are all kinds of details around being able to actually use it. And so that was, it's not a dollar and cent factor, but there were land acquisition and transfers. Yeah. I have a feeling we're bringing back memories as well for the manager. Where is he? He's so much so he had to step out. He was overwhelmed. Overwhelmed with emotion. Next, we have innovation and education. Again, education, when it comes to economic development in job training and job skills, is critical, and it's a critical component of the governor's economic development bill that is before our committee and will be moving on through the legislature. And it's something that is critical here to have skilled workforce. So on this slide, you'll see a number of grants, $493,395 to develop a precision machining and advanced manufacturing at Greater Lowell Tech. There was a $500,000 grant to expand Neshoba Valley Tech's advanced manufacturing program, parts of the industry that are absolutely essential for the jobs of the future. And then there was a $117,000 some change grant to the community college, and this is to construct a cybersecurity lab here in the city of Lowell. Again, an area that cybersecurity is, again, an innovative area that we are seeing a demand for in large numbers, not just for those working in a security firm, but almost every company in the future will need a security force on their staff because of the advance of everything being online and security threats. So a big field opening up, and it's great that one of these will fund a lab there.
In there, just a little plug for someone, and we all know the gentleman down at Middlesex Community College, Terrence Downs, who does a fantastic job with cybersecurity and security and homeland security at Middlesex Community College. And he had reached out to the delegation back when about that particular grant. So as the senator just said, unfortunately, it's the way of the future, I guess, if you will. But I just wanted to mention Terry.
Absolutely.
He's been very helpful to a lot of us.
And it was, you know, Terry Downs who was the first to bring it to our attention, the need for, in the future, these jobs. And again, it's not just, you know, a security company. Every company is going to need their own security specialist on staff. You know, and one of the things about skilled workers in fields like advanced manufacturing, precision machining, cybersecurity, the vocational schools can help us tremendously in filling those skills gap. And yet, report after report that we're receiving on the state level just says that the vocational schools don't have the capacity to fill the wait lists that they already have for some of these jobs. And so that's why, especially wait lists in the gateway cities. So that's why these types of grants are important, and it's important to make sure that they will be trained and students are going to be able to leave a program with a secure job waiting for them. And it will close the skills gap. The grants also allow the schools to offer additional programming to veterans and to the chronically unemployed. And those are sometimes the last most difficult component of the unemployed to get employment for. So again, giving them the skills to get a job where they can actually sustain themselves and their families is huge. We already mentioned what this does for Middlesex. The next slide is innovation and education. And we all know some of the great things happening at the university. But it's been certainly in partnership with the state. The Emerging Technologies and Innovation Center was the result of $10 million came from the Mass Life Sciences Center, and it's home to UMass Lowell's cutting-edge research in nano manufacturing, plastics, biomaterials, and development. This project, by the way, was an $80 million project that received $35 million from the state, including $10 million in capital from Mass Life Sciences. It's going to anchor Lowell's economic development efforts for many years to come. And it houses programs that are rapidly becoming areas of future growth: nanomanufacturing, plastics, elastomers, biomaterials development. And the research conducted there will certainly put Lowell at the center of cluster of companies in the sciences, national security, and energy industries. The university was part of an award, huge award from the Defense Department that went to MIT and UMass Lowell just a couple of weeks ago. And it's important because the emerging technology companies who are flocking to Kendall Square and the like want to be in close proximity to MIT. Well, we have our own MIT here, and it's an opportunity. The more we are able to develop and partner with the excellent educational institutions, the more likely we are to attract those types of companies right here. So that was an exciting project, and it will yield dividends for many years to come. The next under education is Printed Electronics Research Collaborative, or otherwise known as PERC. They received a $4 million grant from the Mass Tech Collaborative. And what that does is it brings researchers in Massachusetts businesses together to work on innovative applications of new technologies. It's one of the research programs located at the Innovative Center. And it brings mass businesses together to work on these applications with technology. It gives students a hands-on experience and makes them highly sought after in the job market. So the $4 million that PERC received from Mass Tech Collaborative was matched by $12 million in support from industry partners. So, Mr. Chairman, when you mentioned public-private partnership, here is an example where $4 million investment from the state gets a $12 million match from the private industry. Very, very successful. Again, with education, we have the business building that is going up as we speak over at the university. I will probably make a mess of the name, but Pulicino Tong Business Building. This is the result of $13.5 million in capital funds with $25 million pledged in total. It's going to serve undergraduate and graduate students at the Manning School of Business. This is a $40 million business building, and it's going to open next year. Again, very important part of the university campus. It's going to house undergraduate, graduate, business, entrepreneurship, finance, international business, management, operations, and informational systems. Along with the adjacent, it's right next to the Emerging Technologies and Innovation Center that has labs, classrooms. The business building will be the heart of the innovation district, bringing businesses and engineers and companies to the area. Just an invaluable resource when you want to be a player in the tech field, to have this state-of-the-art type of education right here in the city of Lowell. The next we have the 110 Canal Street, again, part of the Hamilton Canal District. So 110 Canal was the beneficiary of a $5 million grant from the Mass Life Sciences Center. It houses UMass Lowell's M2D2 Center and the Innovation Hub. Again, the wave of the future in terms of jobs and job creation. So a lot has changed at 110 Canal since it was built in 1920, but in a sense, the building still serves the same purpose, driving innovation in manufacturing. It also is a co-worker space that offers a variety of resources to tech startup companies. So we're talking about companies at their very infancy, having a place to start their company, and then room to grow, again, with the cooperation and expertise of the university and what they offer. It's also part of the Mass Medical Device Development Center, which connects small medical device companies to world-class researchers at UMass Lowell and UMass Medical Center. I think many of those from Lowell can appreciate that a building that was once a manufacturing mill is now supporting high-tech manufacture. So it's a wonderful example of reinventing in a very meaningful way and reusing a building. Our next screen is, again, under innovation and education, the Rialto building. I think many people are familiar with this on Central Street. The Rialto building is going to be a reality because of $11 million in capital funds to restore the landmark building. It's going to serve as Middlesex Community College's Center for the Arts. The building has served many functions over the years. This building goes back to 1876. It's also a gateway building for, you enter the city and it had been boarded up or in various states of disrepair. So this has served many things. It was a Boston Main Depot, was a movie theater, a bowling alley, a billiards parlor, and home to a variety of businesses. In the fall of 2017, it will open to another new purpose, housing Middlesex Community College's Performance Arts Center. And it will include a theater, a music classroom that doubles as a recital hall, a dance studio that can be converted to a black box classroom. And again, a welcome addition to the cultural community here in Lowell. Moving on, under housing, and I'll try and run through these quickly, but it's significant. There are a number of housing developments that have been supported through both loans, tax credits, and the like in the city of Lowell. The state's financed dozens of housing developments in these years, providing historic tax credits, loans and subsidies for affordable housing, and grants for infrastructure improvements. And affordability has been a point of emphasis for the state, repurposing these older buildings. Quickly, let me just go through. We have a few of them. The Counting House lofts received $3.3 million loan from Mass Housing, a $3.8 million historic tax credit. It has 52 units, including 26 affordable units. The Boot Mills apartment received an $800,000 loan from Mass Housing, $2.1 million from historic tax credits, and this has 154 units, 32 of them affordable. The Gorham Street apartments received $3.3 million in state and federal funds, $1 million loan from Mass Housing, and this is 24 units. All of those on Gorham Street are affordable. River's Edge, the site of the former Julian Steel project that seemed to take a long time to accomplish, but now is near its end, received a $1.5 million from MassWorks grant, $2.5 million loan from Mass Housing, and is the result dozens of new homes in that neighborhood. 24 Merrimack Street, The Chalifo building received $1.75 million from historic tax credits. 47 units in downtown Lowell, all of them market rate. Almost ready to, yeah, we were there just recently. And I think, again, fully market rate, no affordable units. Mass Mills Phase 3 received $3.2 million from historic tax credits, $4.5 million loan from Mass Housing, $4.5 million in state and federal sources, 70 affordable units. The Sun Building, the Sun Building, again, a city landmark in Kearney Square. Developers worked with the Lowell Landmark Commission to preserve the building's design. It received $1.6 million from historic tax credits, 22 high-end units. So that's a brief overview in terms of housing, and it shows how, sorry, I wasn't keeping up with my job here, going with the screens, but as you can see, let me go back for a minute. These are the projects, and you know, you can see that the assist from the state makes the development of these buildings possible, and it's also taking what may have been vacant or dilapidated buildings and making them attractive and very usable with people and vitality in the downtown. Under Parks and Recreation, first we have the Concord River Greenway. Received $2.1 million in grants. This is a 1.75 mile Concord River Greenway, and when it's complete, it will stretch from the Lawrence Street Bridge to where the Concord River meets the Merrimack River. It will fill a missing link in the Bay Circuit Trail, which stretches from Newburyport to Kingston, and will also connect the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail, which will run from Lowell to Framingham. The Greenway will be a safe, pleasant route between downtown and the city's outlying neighborhoods, and its public art and historic information and natural beauty are also another opportunity to attract tourists as well as residents. Next, under Parks and Recreation, LeLacheur Park, $200,000 earmark in the fiscal year 2016 budget. The LeLacheur Park generates $5 million in economic activity annually by drawing more than 200,000 people to downtown Lowell. Since it opened in 1998, LeLacheur Park has become one of the anchors of downtown Lowell's revitalization. It brings thousands of people here, many of them tourists, into the city for baseball, games, concerts at times. And this earmark in last year's budget will help fund improvements so the park can continue to provide top quality fan experience. Moving on, under Health and Wellness, Lowell General Hospital, we know had a tremendous development there, has completely changed the look and the function of the hospital. This was the result in part of $208.6 million loan from Mass Development. Nearly 200,000 square feet of new space were added, upgrades to the Saints campus power plant and renovations and equipment. And this expansion not only changed the way healthcare is being delivered in Greater Lowell, but it also created 400 construction jobs and 150 new permanent jobs at the hospital. And more recently, the hospital has taken on a number of upgrades and renovations that it also will be financing with Mass Development. So the jobs can be both short-term in the construction, which I've failed to mention on all of the other projects that we're talking about, but long-term. And this is resulting in 150 new permanent full-time jobs. Under Health and Wellness, the Lowell Community Health Center received $3.8 million in Mass tax credits. And this really has given the Community Health Center an opportunity to serve a very diverse population. I think they have people who speak 28 languages, translators at the health center. They serve almost 50,000 patients a year and more than 150,000 visits at the new location, and they too are expanding their footprint. But this is what has been secured to date. Next, we have Duville Life and Wellness Community. Again, $8 million from Mass Development. Duville serves more than 1,000 senior citizens in Greater Lowell, and it's a new development that allows it to expand its footprint further. The project's going to create 60 units of assisted and supportive housing, and including 15 units for those suffering from early memory loss. Many of the units will be affordable, ensuring that seniors of all socioeconomic backgrounds can access the long-term health care. Cultural and development. So each year, the Mass Cultural Council provides funding to support operations of many of Lowell's cultural institutions, from the Angkor Dance Troupe to the Songus Industrial Center. Many of the grants aren't the largest sources of funding for economic development in Lowell, but I can assure you the nonprofits that receive them many times are operating on a shoestring budget, and so they are really absolutely essential and much sought after. They do have a powerful impact, these grants, on economic development. They sustain jobs and finance the events and performances that really attract tourists to our city. They also have value that's equally important and harder to measure, and that's enriching the daily lives of our community and making it more vibrant. The Lowell Memorial Auditorium, again, the best known as the site of, my husband would say, the New England Golden Gloves boxing tournament, but also hosts concerts, musicals, comedy shows, dance performances. This building opened in 1922 and naturally has needed some occasional renovations and upgrades. Between 2008 and 2011, the auditorium received almost $1 million for roof replacement and some exterior improvements. And then last year, it received an additional $300,000 to pay for seat renovations, new flooring, and a larger loading dock. So the historical, cultural, economic significance of the auditorium are really important to the city of Lowell. This is another slide that I think Representative Golden will be happy with. UTEC, for those who, I know you're all familiar, but for those at home, this is located down right across from the ICC, and UTEC has received $850,000 from Mass Development in grants and loans. The renovations included solar installation, passive cooling system, and charging station for electric vehicles. This building, believe it or not, is the oldest LEED Platinum building in the country, and the first in Lowell. And UTEC, you may ask, why does this have to do with economic development? Well, as we know, it's the United Teen Equality Center, training and employment to Lowell's at-risk youth. It keeps the community safe by helping young people achieve their potential. And the former St. Paul's United Methodist Church that they acquired back in 2006. After the renovations, this building is really a hotbed of activity for economic development. When you couple that with the building next door that they're in the process of acquiring and renovating, again, it's jobs. It has to do with a number of their industries, including catering, mattress reclamation, putting people to work, and doing this in a green building to boot, even though the building dates back to 1839. Mass Development supported the improvements, and as I mentioned, it was a $425,000 grant and a $425,000 loan. So all of you certainly know that public safety is essential to economic development. In order for people to want to come and have companies, to live here, to have their employees come and live here, it has to be a safe environment. And so to that extent, in support and in helping the city of Lowell, to date, since 2011, there's been $10.7 million in public safety funding, $1.2 million for municipal staffing grants, $3.2 million in Shannon grants, and $3.5 million for the Safe and Successful Youth Initiative. We're almost at the end. as I mentioned at the outset, the numbers, the $472 million that we're talking about, does not include Chapter 70 money, does not include Chapter 90 money. And so just for information, in Chapter 70 money, and that's the money for public schools, in this period of time, the city of Lowell received $627.7 million for our public schools. For local aid, the city of Lowell received in that same period of time $106.6 million in unrestricted state aid. And then 9.8 million Chapter 90 funding for roads and sidewalks, as well as almost $1 million in earmarks that the delegation has secured. So these additional earmarks for open space, opioid programs, presentation, the LaLasha Park, Tanner Street, and the like. And that's the presentation.
Thank you, Senator Donahue. I mean, that far exceeded anything that I had hoped for. As you spoke and stated so clearly, that this is not just local aid money or Chapter 70 funds, but these are the type of funds that you as a delegation go out to work for to make this city work. I appreciate that very much. I'd like to acknowledge Councilor Rourke is also present. Anybody have questions here? Councilor Milonazo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me begin by just saying, wow, it was a very impressive presentation. As you all know, I've been involved in economic development for a number of years here, and we've always relied upon our delivery team, our state delegation. And I know now, looking at this report, why the city of Lowell is really the envy of the other 350 cities and towns in Massachusetts, because not only do you all, as a team, deliver to us, we then actually carry out the project, which is just so important, because the more you go back to the administration at the state level, you need to be able to show them that you're leveraging the state dollars, which clearly this report outlines. And the other thing I just wanted to mention is to say, again, thank you. This last February, we ended up paying off, when I say we, the 7 participating banks involved in the River's Edge development project, which you all played a part in. The mortgage has been paid. Again, we were able to get state money through your good works, but the $25 million bank loan has been paid in full. So again, on behalf, even though I'm not with the credit union anymore, but really publicly it should be stated, without your help, we wouldn't have 135 home ownership opportunities there. We do have 45 Section 8 vouchers as well, but we were able to take a dilapidated, as you all know, state-aided, what was once veterans housing for proud returning veterans, which fell in disrepair. We were able, through your leadership, be able to turn that around, and also replicate units, as you all know, throughout the city. So, again, you talk about the public-private partnership. It really is the delivery team as we sit here and look out. And again, Senator Panagiotakis, John Cox, the late Ed LaLasha, again, the city of Lowell did very well by them, and we continue to do that because of your hard work. So again, the only comment I have is really thank you for the efforts that you put in on our behalf. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Elliott?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to just say a few words of gratitude from the delegation for for all the hard work that you do down in Beacon Hill to bring state funds home to the city. I think this report captures, certainly we know there are high-profile projects that we get state money for, but we also know local aid, but I think this really is a true reflection of the myriad of programs and the complex financing that we put together with private investment, but without the state funds, many, if not most, of these projects just would not come to fruition, as we have said. So I think to the people at home watching, the taxpayers, this is where your money is being spent. Without this investment from the state, we don't get the leverage from the private investment. And as Councilor Milonazo said, I think we're the envy of many other communities that don't look for the funds, does not have the leadership, the leadership on both the Senate and the House side on a consistent basis that sticks together and brings home money to put these projects through. And we continue to look for more projects. We put them in the pipeline, and that's people at home should realize, you know, the transformation happens because of mass development, because of historic tax credits, all that are part of the budget. And I certainly appreciate and can recognize all the hard work that you do on Beacon Hill.
Thank you. Council Leary.
Just quickly, I think, thanking you is just, I don't know how to put it in a proper context. I think not only the delegation, the four of you working together, but, Manager Murphy, and then really going back, decades or even further. The project alone at the Hamilton Canal District is probably the biggest private-public project on the East Coast. I mean, the Seaport District to some extent, but if you're really looking at it, if you went up and down the East, anywhere in the United States, it's one of the biggest projects. And it's happening in a city that has, 100, 110,000 people. That's extraordinary. And that shows, and it's going to be anchored by the courthouse, as the senator articulated. That's massive. This doesn't happen in every city in the Commonwealth. There's a lot of, infighting amongst politicians running for who's the top leader in a particular area. And there's always competition when you're in a political office, but the way you have worked together and the way you've worked together with the city council and the school committee is extraordinary, because it's not easy to do. It means really putting aside differences sometimes and making things happen, and you guys have shown that time and time again. Again, gratitude, thanks. Thank you for taking the time to come here tonight. I know you guys are busy. A lot of other folks representing other towns wouldn't do it, and would definitely not want to do it because it is a challenge. But we do appreciate it. Thank you.
Council Lee.
Thank you. I also just wanted to echo the sentiments that, not other towns do this and communities work together well with their state delegation. And we all appreciate the time that you put into this district, and when we ask, you can come down and do a presentation like this, so we appreciate it. And as others had alluded to, the work that Manager Murphy did on one side, now he's on the city side, all that ties in together and helps us, the Tiger Grant and all the state work that we're doing. So, we're really moving forward. Once we get that Hamilton Canal District going again and the courthouse, we're just doing so well, and it's due to the cooperation and the hard work of the state delegation and the council and the manager's team. So, thank you.
Thank you. Council Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much for coming on down here to the City Council chambers this evening. I know how busy you all are, and considering the presentation, you are very, very busy. And I noticed that the paper is much thicker, nothing like what we have when we have presentations, very, very thick paper. I thought there were 3 pieces and it was just one. And it's nice to know that there's $9.8 million in Chapter 90 funding for roads and sidewalks, considering the fact that over 5 years there must be still something left. So I'll be asking for a little bit of that tonight in one of my motions. But it's quite a teamwork effort, and I'm very, very grateful. We knew that you were doing a great job, but this just reinforces what we've already known. A lot of hard work goes into it. It takes money to make things happen, but I've always remembered what the state said. We don't mind giving Lowell the money because they spend it right away. They don't sit on it. They just do what they have to do with it, and it's slated for a certain project, and they make it happen. So we can't make it happen unless you deliver and bring in the money, and you, like dominoes, you deliver. And I'm very, very grateful. Thank you so much.
Representative Nangle.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, for about 17 years, all I heard was, when is enough enough? How much more money do we have to send back to the city of Lowell? Now, for the last 2+ years, all we hear is, can you send us more money? That's directed at the manager. But
That
in all
was going to be the final question.
all seriousness on that, there was just something recent, and we're all very familiar with this. There was a $4.7 million MassWorks grant. It's a very competitive process for that pool of dollars. And I remember we had to go back to the manager because, it just wasn't working. The private leverage wasn't there. But Kevin, and through his administration and the council here, came up with the plan, and we were able to obtain that. And I give Kevin credit for that, particularly because he knows the process that we go through down on Beacon Hill on a regular basis. And I just wanted to say publicly, Kevin, that you're to be commended for putting that back together so we could get that 4.7 to get the infrastructure done for what needs to be done over there.
Thank you. Councilman Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just briefly, because I know we're running up against the clock, can you tell us the status of the governor's, $900 million economic development bill?
Yeah, definitely. And again, I just want to echo the sentiments. You know, it's one thing to bring money, but the city of Lowell and the administration gets the job done.
Right.
And that is as important as getting the money. If not for that, we wouldn't be able to swing it. So
That's
thank
definitely what
you.
they look at.
It's, oh yeah, there's a, you know, there's a scorecard, and so, you know, Lowell scores very highly on that side. The governor has filed an economic development bill. We had a hearing on it a few weeks back, and I can tell you it's in committee. That I'm the Senate co-chair of the Economic Development Emerging Technology Committee. We expect that bill to be moving very soon in through the legislature. Let me talk about a couple of things in the bill just quickly, because I think it is a voting for the future. And, you know, so this is where we've been, where are we going? In the governor's bill, and I think there's some excellent parts of the bill, by the way, it is a $918 million bond bill over a 5-year period, almost $1 billion of investment. Much of the strategy of the bill, as the governor testified at the hearing, is to help cities and towns outside of the greater Boston area. Boston's doing just fine right now. Their you know, business development in both Boston, Cambridge, and Somerville, but these are targeted investments that will reach other parts. MassWorks grant, which we've talked about here tonight, makes up about $500 million of that. So that's a huge increase over and above what has been available for MassWorks. Hugely helpful to gateway cities in a city like Lowell. Also, educational funds that are targeted for gateway cities, community colleges and the like. There's a number of incentives that are in that bill. It's too numerous, but it's opportunities for all is what the bill is called. And I think you will be happy to see what comes out of the legislature, I hope. And I think you will see support to getting this done. One of the reasons it's critical to get it done is the MassWorks grant funding will run out at the end of this year if we don't replenish it. And so that's another reason to try and move this as quickly as possible.
Thank you. Representative Golden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and through you to everyone here. I just want to say thank you very much. I think people need to know that as I look around the room here, I don't think there is anybody that I haven't spoken to in the past week. All the city council is the manager, whether we've run into each other, and the point I'm trying to make is the communication is definitely the key to this success. People down in Boston, they're jealous, to be quite frank. How do you guys get it done? And I always say to them, it's because we have a council, we have a management team that gets it. We know how to hustle to try to get the things that are needed, but a really tip of the cap goes to the council that really implements this stuff when we try to bring this stuff home. A lot of the projects, sometimes we'll hear, you know, they take a long time. They take a long time to come to fruition. But especially with the Judicial Center, you know, there are so many people out there that are kind of still questioning, is it going to happen, is it going to happen? It is going to happen. And when you really start to look at this, it's close to $200 million. And the amount of money, and I just want to say thank you very much to the council, and I know on behalf of the delegation, for always saying that we're going to get this done. It's a heck of a lot easier just to say, throw your hands up and say, we don't know what to do. But as I look around, I really see every counselor at an event or on a phone message. I mean, we've been talking lately to find out how to make this city a better place to live, and I think that the residents of Lowell are very lucky to have this council and this management team steering the city in the right direction. So thank you for all your support throughout the years, but we have a lot more work to do.
Thank you. Also, Mayor Kennedy's here. But before we go, Senator Donohue, yesterday we had a very important meeting regarding gateway cities, and many of the representatives of all the gateway cities were present in Lowell. Could you just give a quick overview of where Lowell stands in that process?
Sure. You know, so yesterday, Mass Inc. and the Pioneer Institute and the Mass Taxpayer Foundation presented it was a renew and rebuild look at gateway cities. What are the state investments doing in gateway cities? Where should the investments be made? So it was a very thoughtful approach. Secretary Jay Ash was there as well. And I think it was an opportunity for all the gateway cities to exchange information, to hear from each other. I would say that based on, and I know some of the counselors, Councilor Elliott was there, you were there, and
Councilor Belanger.
Councilor Belanger, and Manager Murphy, and my colleagues were there as well. I think it's fair to say that based on some of the comments, I think some of the gateway cities in the room are struggling. It's all a challenge, obviously, but I think they're maybe behind where the city of Lowell is in terms of their planning process, in terms of what they want to do or what their direction is, so I feel that many of the areas, because Lowell is working on so many different levels: economic development, housing, culture, transportation, all of these are essential components, not just one. And so I think that was a very, very important discussion. Questions came up: how do we incentivize businesses to come to our cities, not just housing, but business and jobs? That's a really important question. It's something we're working on in the legislature. What types of programs can we offer businesses to locate? But one of the things we do know from business over and over is we need that trained workforce. We need to have workers who can do the job, and that's where our higher ed institutions come in and will be very important in the future. So I think my takeaway is that Lowell, fared very well through that conference, and is looked at as a leader among the gateway cities or middle cities, whichever definition you choose.
Thank you for that. And could I ask City Manager Murphy if we can put this on our website, this presentation? I think citizens of Lowell would really like to see the detail that was put into this
And
presentation.
let me just say, too, if there are updates, we'll pass them on. And I just want to thank my staff who worked hard. As you could see, I kind of fumbled through the PowerPoint. It's not my strong suit. But we will update, for instance, what Representative Nangle was talking about, the most recent one. We'll put that into it, too, so that it's up to date.
As chair of this committee, I want to, on behalf of the City Council, I want to thank you, Senator Donahue, you, Representative Golden, you,
Thank you,
Representative Nangle, you, Representative Mom, for the presentation. You do make a difference. It's all about teamwork. It's all about collaboration. And you've made it true. So I want to thank you for that. Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.